Friends, we will be starting with the continent-wise study of geography. Now, we will be starting with one of the most easiest part in geography. That is the one of the most easiest continent to study. That is the continent of South America. Why I say most easiest? Because there are features are very simple, and you don't have much to remember, and the questions are predictable in this part. In fact, in the entire world geography, the questions are predictable. But while studying Europe and Asia, there is somewhat more of the facts to remember. And the questions come very, very easy, and the questions come very factual. The good thing about the factual question is that once you know the fact, the answer you know as it is. So you don't have to worry too much about the conceptual part. So this is the factual part of the geography, that is the world geography part. Now starting with the South American continent, we'll cover each and every continent. If your target is the preliminary examination, then yes, this is the important part for you. And even if your target is not the preliminary examination this year, then also it becomes important, because if you know the basic geography, if you know the world geography, then studying the other parts will be easier. Here I will be using some of the terms, for example, young fold mountains, for example, delta. Then we have covered that in the other parts of the geography. And some of the terms which are not covered are covered in the topics known as basics. That is, what are the different kinds of a pressure system, etc. Now, if you look at if you look at the South American continent, the first thing is you start with your atlas. Watch this lecture along with the atlas and mark whatever we are studying in the class. You mark it on the atlas, or you can draw the diagram as I draw on the board. Whatever, the choice is yours. But if you mark in the atlas, as I told you earlier also, it will be very good from the revision point of view. Mark in the atlas, write in the atlas, whatever places, whatever the things we are going to tell. So if you look at the South American continent, the South American continent is roughly triangular in shape. And it is located in which hemisphere? In the northern hemisphere or in the southern hemisphere? Now look in the atlas, you will see that the equator passes through the South American continent, so we can say that it is located in both the hemisphere. But when the equator passes through the South American continent, it does not pass exactly at the middle, so it is passing just to the north, and we can say here that the South American continent is mostly located in the southern hemisphere, because only smaller portion of the South American continent is located in the northern hemisphere. The equator and the Tropic of Capricorn both pass through this continent, and therefore the continent lies in the southern hemisphere. Now where does it lie? It lies in the east or western part of a Greenwich Mean Time. It lies on the western part of a Greenwich Mean Time. Now look at the shape of this and see here. See that it is very much tapering in the bottom, or in the south it gets tapered away, while in the middle it is broad. So we can conclude that the majority of the continent lies in the tropics. Why? Because on the southern part it becomes tapering. It is surrounded by the Pacific Ocean, and it is surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean. It is surrounded by both Pacific and the Atlantic Ocean. And because of its shape, the shape is somewhat like this. We can say the shape, because it is tapering on both southern part and in the northern part, obviously there will be some countries, there are some countries which are having coastline common to Atlantic Ocean and common to the Pacific Ocean. One of the countries is the country of Colombia, which is having the coast common to both Pacific and Atlantic Ocean. And the other country is the country of Chile. So some of the important facts of the South American continent is, the first thing is, it is a continent. It is a continent which is roughly triangular in shape. The second is it's tapering and narrow southwards. And very narrow southwards. Therefore, most of the continent lies in tropics. Now, if you look at the atlas, look at the political atlas, there is one country in South America, which is one of the biggest country of South America, and both the Tropic of Capricorn as well as the equator passes through this country. The country is Brazil. Brazil is the only country in the world through which both Tropic of Capricorn and the equator crosses. The only country in the world which is having both the Tropic of Capricorn and the equator crossing. Only country in which both equator and the Tropic of Capricorn passes. That is, both the Tropic of Capricorn and the equator passes. Now, the majority of the continent lies on the western side of the GMT, or the continent lies on the western side of GMT, that is Greenwich Mean Time. Therefore, the time on this continent will be behind the GMT, or behind the world time, behind the Greenwich Mean Time. It is the fourth largest continent. Which are the top three continents? The largest continent is Asia. After that, it is Africa, and then it is the North America. So it is the fourth largest continent in the world after Asia, Africa, and the North America. So we can say the South America is a triangular in shape. It is surrounded by both Atlantic and Pacific Ocean, while the equator as well as the Tropic of Capricorn passes through it. Because it is of this shape, there are two countries. One country is the Colombia and the other is Chile, which are having the coastline common to both Pacific as well as the Atlantic Ocean. Brazil is the only country in the world through which both Tropic of Capricorn as well as the equator passes. Now, it lies on the western side of the GMT, and therefore the time here on this continent will be behind the world time. And lastly, is the last thing you should know is it is the fourth largest continent after Asia, Africa, and North America. Now, if you look at the major physical features of this continent, what are the major physical features of the continent? One of the biggest physical feature, or the most important physical feature of this continent, is the presence of a mountain system which lies parallel to the coastline. The mountain systems which are lying parallel to the coastline. These mountain systems are known by the different names such as cordillera, Occidental, Cordillera Oriental, and the Andes. Andes or Andean mountain system. These are the parts. The western side is known as Cordillera Occidental, the eastern part is known as Cordillera Oriental. Now, which part of the world is generally known as the Oriental civilization? The eastern side of the world is known as an Oriental civilization. So remember that the Cordillera Oriental also remembers on the eastern side of the Cordillera Occidentals. If you look at the western part, we will look that if you look here, there is a presence of a lake here which is known as Lake Maracaibo, which is known as the Lake Maracaibo. We have highlands here. We have Guyana Highlands. We have French Guyana Highlands. We have Brazilian Highlands. We have Plateau of Mato Grosso. We have the Plateau of Mato Grosso. We have the Mato Grosso Plateau. And we have Borborema Plateau here, right at the edge of an. So the major mountains or the major highlands are Andes on the western part, while on the eastern part there are Guyana Highlands in the north, followed by Borborema Plateau, then the Plateau of Mato Grosso and the Brazilian Highlands. So these are the important highlands. Now if you look at the other feature, what is the after the highlands? If you look at the river system, we have one of the most important river systems. The three important river systems here are Orinoco River System, Amazon River System, and Rio de Plata River System. So the important river systems are Orinoco Rivers, the Amazon River, which is the largest river in the world, and Plate River, or it is also known as La Plata River System. It is also known as an La Plata River System. Now if you again have a closer look, you will find some of the words written here such as llanos, such as selvas, such as campos, such as pampas. What are these llanos, selvas, campos and pampas? These are the grasslands and the forest system of the South American continent. The grasslands in the Orinoco River system are known as llanos. One of the most densest rainforest in the world is known as selvas in the Amazon River system. The campos is again a tropical grasslands in the Brazilian highlands, while the pampas are the temperate grasslands. You see here, this is the line of Tropic of Capricorn. So the pampas lies in the temperate region. It is the temperate grasslands of the Argentina. While there is a forest system which is made up of marshy, it is known as Gran Chaco forest system. Please mark this all in your atlas, that where is the Gran Chaco, where is the llanos, where is the campos, where is the pampas. Have a look at them in your atlas. So you will find here there is a Gran Chaco river system. Also, if we try to look at the deserts here, you will find there is the driest desert in the world, known as an Atacama Desert. And there is a cold desert known as an Patagonia Desert. There is a cold desert known as the Patagonia Desert. In between Andes, you will find there is a lake which is present inside the mountains. It is known as Lake Titicaca, which is the highest navigable lake in the world. That is the Lake Titicaca, on which the capital of a country is located. The capital La Paz, which is the capital of Bolivia, is located on this Lake Titicaca. So you see the major features or the major features of the South America is the western mountain system and the eastern highlands, while the center part is a lowland region through which the rivers flow. So what are the major features of South America? It consists of Andes mountain system, on which in this Andes, because it is a series of mountains, they are known as Cordilleras. They are formed as the Cordilleras. In between the Andes, there is the highest navigable lake in the world, which is known as Lake Titicaca, and the capital of Bolivia, La Paz, is situated on this Lake Titicaca. If we come on the eastern side, it consists of a series of high plateaus which are known as Guiana Highlands, which are known as Borborema Plateau, Mato Grosso Plateau, and the Brazilian Plateau system. If we come in the central part is consisting of rivers which from north are Orinoco River system, Amazon River system flowing parallel to the equator, then the Rio de la Plata or the Plate River system, which goes and enters the Rio de la Plata system, and on which there are two important capital cities located. We will come to that later on. And if we look at the desert systems, we have Atacama Desert, which is the driest desert in the world, and it is washed by a cold current which is known as Chilean current, or it is known as the Peruvian current. Peruvian current. While here there is an hot current, ocean current, which is known as an Brazilian current. There is a hot current known as an Brazilian current. So we have the two important current systems, that is the Peruvian current and the Brazilian current system. Now the Peruvian current, it is again important because whenever this cold current, Peruvian current is, remember, a cold current, while the Brazilian current is an hot current or warm current. What are these warm and cold currents? Have a look in the oceanography class. These are the river, when the water comes, when the ocean water flows like a river, it is known as a current. Because it is coming from the colder regions, it is a cold current. Because it is coming from the warmer regions, see the direction of the arrows, it is coming from the equatorial side. It is this is coming from the Peruvian current, is coming from the polar region, so it is a cold current. How does it affect? It has an effect which will be seen in the climatology part. The other thing about the Peruvian current, whenever this Peruvian current disappears, its place is taken by a warm current. Instead of the cold current, its place is taken by a warm current, which is known as an El Nino current. And if you are following the newspapers, you know that the Indian monsoon and El Nino are closely related. Whenever there is an El Nino year, there is a fear of drought in India. This year is considered to be an El Nino year, so erratic monsoon, unequal monsoon, sometimes therefore drought. Majority of the El Nino years are considered the drought year, correlate with the drought in India, and therefore it is a headache for the Indian government also, that is the El Nino. Because in India, which is an agricultural country, mostly dependent on monsoon, a failure of monsoon results in huge number of problems, including unemployment, including inflation and agriculture crisis. So it is this Peruvian current which is associated with the The disappearance of Peruvian current is associated with El Nino, which is associated with the droughts in India. So where does it occur? It occurs in the southern Pacific Ocean. In the southern Pacific Ocean, whenever the Peruvian current disappears, its place is taken by a warm current known as El Nino current. And this El Nino current results into drought in India. So you remember this. Now why? This is the equator. So after equator, you remember that southern hemisphere. So it is associated with the southern Pacific Ocean along the coastline of Peru and Chile. So these are the major physical features. Have a look in your atlas. Have a look at the diagram once more. Though it looks like a cluttered, but you remember blue color is for rivers, black color is for mountains, and the red color is for kind of an vegetation which is found in the South America. Now what you have to know from the examination point of view, you will have to know this reverse north to south, which we are going to do in detail, and one of the most important is you should know this vegetation from north to south, and also what type. Pampas, because it is lying below the Tropic of Capricorn. This is the Tropic of Capricorn. It is lying after the Tropic of Capricorn. It is a temperate vegetation. Campos is an tropical grassland. Selvas, because it is lying exactly on the equator. You remember Amazon river flows parallel to the equator. Therefore, it is in the equator you have only one kind of a forest, that is equatorial evergreen forest. It is known as a tropical evergreen forest or a tropical rainforest. So you have rainforest which are known as selvas, and again after the equator we have llanos, which are the tropical grasslands of the world. Then we have the highlands, of which Guyana highlands has been a past year question paper. We have Mato Grosso plateau, again an important, and it has been a past year question. We have the Brazilian highlands, and after that, so this is the physical study of a physical feature. We will study this physical feature in detail and do only what I tell you in the lecture. That will be more than enough for your examination point of view. Now first coming at the major physical feature, that is the Andes mountain system. So the Andes mountains, if you look at the atlas, you will see that they are the series of a continuous mountain system, and there are numerous mountains here which are group of mountains known as an Andes. They lie on the western part of a continent, and the Andes mountain here, we have an trench here known as Chile Trench or Chile Peruvian Trench. So what are these Andes? These are an example of an young fold mountains in the world. Why we say young fold mountains? Remember your geomorphology class. So Andes are, what are Andes? These are young fold mountains. These are young fold mountains. Now how are these young fold mountains formed? Remember again your geomorphology class, due to the convergent plate boundary, because one plate comes near the other plate, and generally the heavier plate goes below the lighter plate, and the sediments are folded to give rise to the mountains. Now here the heavier plate is the oceanic plate and the lighter plate is the continental plate. Remember Sial, Sima, knife or the continental plate versus the oceanic plate. The oceanic plate is the denser plate. Now it is a young fold mountain formed due to the convergence of which kind of a plates? These are the young fold mountains which are formed due to the convergence of Nazca plate. Formed due to the convergence of Nazca plate with the American plate. with the American plate. With South American plate. Now, whenever there is a convergence, there is a fold mountain and there is a trench, which the trench is represented by a zone what we call as a subduction zone. Here, the subduction zone is represented by a Chile trench. A subduction zone is represented by Chile trench. Any doubts? Refer your seafloor spreading class. Refer your plate tectonics class. It is a subduction zone represented by Chile trench. Now, what is this part known as? This part, if we extend it North America and then to entire Asia, what is this part known as? It is a part where there is the earthquakes and volcanoes are most common. What is it is known as? It is known as an Pacific Ring of Fire. It is a part of, Andes are part of Pacific Ring of Fire. Pacific Ring of Fire. And because they are part of Pacific Ring of Fire, what will be common? Therefore, volcanoes and earthquakes are common in this region. Volcanoes and earthquakes are common in this region. Volcanoes and earthquakes are common in this region. There, or we can say there are frequent volcanoes and earthquakes in this region. Now, all the fold mountains in the world where there is a subduction will have volcanoes. But as we have already done, why the Himalayas do not have volcanoes? The Himalayas do not have volcanoes because it is an example of continent-continent collision. And because it is an example of a continent-continent collision, in such kind of a collision, with both the plates being of similar densities, there is no subduction, and hence we have no volcanoes in the Himalayas. So after Himalayas, which is the highest mountain system in the world? It is the Andes mountain, which is the highest mountain system in the world. So you remember the Andes mountains have the highest volcanoes of the world. Have highest volcanoes in the world. They have the highest volcanoes in the world. In fact, there are some of the interesting facts about the Andes, that it is the other interesting fact about the Andes is it is the longest mountain chain, longest continental mountains on the surface of the earth. These are the longest continental mountains in the world or on the surface of the earth. That is, on the continents, these are the longest mountains. But if we look at the entire earth, including continents and oceans, which is the longest mountain? Remember again your seafloor spreading class. The mid-oceanic ridge is the longest mountain system in the world. But if we consider only continents, the Andes are the longest mountain system in the world. Not Himalayas, not Rockies, but the Andes mountain of South America are the longest mountain system in the world. And they are the second highest mountains. Second highest mountains after Himalayas. They are the second highest mountains after Himalayas. So what if the question comes in the examination, after Asia, which continent has the highest peak in the world? The answer is South America. The South America, because these are the second highest mountain systems in the world after the Himalayan mountain system. Now the Andes are young fold mountains formed due to the convergence of Nazca plate along with the South American plate. These are the highest mountains in the second highest mountains in the world, while they are the longest mountain. The subduction zone here is represented by Chile Trench or Chile Peruvian Trench. They are the part of the Pacific Ring of Fire, and therefore volcanoes and earthquakes are common. And because they are the second highest mountains and the highest mountain in the world, that is the Himalayas, do not have volcanoes. So the highest volcanoes in the world are found in the Andes mountain system. They have the highest volcanoes in the world, that is the Andes mountain system. Now the Andes mountains are long enough to pass through the 7 countries. So they pass through the 7 countries. They pass through 7 countries. Starting from the north, Venezuela. Starting from the north, Venezuela. Colombia. Look in the political map, which is the country after Colombia? Ecuador. Then Peru. Chile. Bolivia. And Argentina. Bolivia and Argentina. These are the countries through which the Andes mountain pass. Now how to remember? This Venezuela is at the topmost, northernmost country. So Venezuela and Colombia extent is such that it shares both Pacific and Atlantic coastline, and because it is sharing the Pacific coastline, it will have Andes mountain. Ecuador lies to the south, Peru to the south, Chile, a very, very narrow country which is like a shape of a mirchi or chili, therefore it is known as Chile. So Chile has. Argentina is a vast country and therefore shares border with Chile and has the Andes mountain system. And how to remember Bolivia? In fact, the Lake Titicaca, which is the highest navigable lake in the world. Lake Titicaca is the highest navigable lake in the world, and the capital of Bolivia, that is the La Paz, is situated on the Lake Titicaca. La Paz, the capital of Bolivia, is situated on the Lake Titicaca. Now what about the Lake Titicaca? It is common between which two countries? Lake Titicaca is located here, and it is a common, while this is the La Paz is located on the southern part. Lake Titicaca is between Peru and Bolivia. Lake Titicaca is located between the Peru and Bolivia. So the 7 countries are Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Bolivia and Argentina. Now one more thing you remember, the largest country in the South America and the 5th largest country in the world, that is Brazil. When we say Latin America or South America, the first thing comes to our mind is Brazil. Brazil Andes do not pass through Brazil. So one of the common question in the examination, if they ask you through which of the following countries does the Andes mountain system pass, you have to first search Brazil. If the Brazil is there in the option, cut that option, because the Andes mountain do not pass through Brazil. So you remember that Brazil, they do not pass through Brazil. So no Brazil, no Andes in Brazil. So you remember that if Andes come to your mind, there is no Brazil should not come to your mind. Latin Americans, largest country Brazil, through which Andes do not pass. Why? Because the Brazil is mostly located on the eastern part, not on the western part, while Andes are on the western part. Now obviously there are some of the Andes is such a continuous mountain system, that is, it is obviously any kind of a mountain system will have difficult transportation system. In fact, the presence of Andes, they are such a continuous, that is, there is no gap between the Andes. There is only one gap, which is known as Uspallata Pass, through which and railway connecting the western coast of Andes to the eastern coast of Andes pass. It is known as a Trans-Andean Railway, which I will do it in the transportation section of this. Now some of the major important peaks of the Andes mountains are, Mount Cotopaxi, Mount Cotopaxi, Mount Cotopaxi, Mount Chimborazo, Mount Chimborazo, Mount Chimborazo, Mount Chimborazo, Mount Ojas del Saldo, Mount Ojas del Saldo, and lastly Mount Aconcagua. Mount Aconcagua or Aconcagua, whatever you remember, Aconcagua, or sometimes also called as an Aconcagua. These are some of the important mountains in the Andes range. Now these are from north to south. If the question comes, you remember CCOA. The code word you remember is CCOA. That is Mount Cotopaxi or COCOA. Cocoa, you remember. Now remember, Latin America is famous for cocaine. Cocaine drug is one of the biggest problem here. In fact, Colombia is one of the largest producer of cocaine in the world. So how are the mountains which are from north to south? It is Mount Cotopaxi, Mount Chimborazo, Mount Ojas, and Mount Aconcagua. Cocoa, you remember this way. Mount Cocoa is from north to south. That is Mount Cotopaxi, Mount Chimborazo, Mount Ojas del Saldo, and Mount Aconcagua. Now why I am giving you this mountains only, or why in the examination you should focus on these mountains? It is because we are going to study now why, which is this. There are so many mountains, don't remember them. You remember only these 4 mountains. So what are these? The Aconcagua mountain. The Mount Aconcagua is the highest mountain outside Asia. It is the highest mountain system or highest mountain after Asia, outside Asia. And obviously highest mountain in Andes. It is the highest in the Andes. It is the Aconcagua is the highest mountain system of Andes, and it is the highest mountain or highest peak outside Asia, that is outside Himalayas. This is the highest mountain in the world. It lies in Argentina. It lies in Argentina. Remember, A for Argentina, A for Aconcagua. So in Cocoa, A lies in Argentina. That is the Mount Aconcagua lies in the Argentina, which is the highest mountain outside Asia. So the highest mountain outside Asia lies in which country? In Argentina. In which continent? In Latin America. In which mountain system? In the Andes mountain system, which are cousins of Himalayas. That is, they are young fold mountains of the world. Then Ojos del Saldo, the Mount Ojos. It is an volcanic mountain located near the Atacama Desert. It is one of the highest mountain, highest volcanic mountain. Located in the Atacama Desert. In the Atacama Desert. Or we can say located in the Andes near the Atacama Desert. Near the Atacama Desert. And in which country is the Atacama Desert? It is located in Chile. So Mount Ojos de Salto is located in the Chile. Now Mount Cotopaxi. Before that, Mount Chimborazo. It is the highest. It is an example of an inactive volcano. And it is the highest mountain in Ecuador. Of Ecuador. While Mount Cotopaxi is considered as one of the highest active volcanic mountains in the world. It is considered because there has been recently findings. Based on that, you don't have to worry about those recent findings. You remember, it is the highest active volcanic mountain in the world. It is the highest active volcano in the world. It is again located in Ecuador. Again located in Ecuador. It is the highest active volcano in the world, located in the Ecuador. So what are the important mountains from north to south? Mount Cotopaxi in Ecuador, Mount Chimborazo again in Ecuador, Mount Ojos de Saldo, which is one of the highest inactive volcano located near the Atacama Desert, and Mount Aconcagua, which is the highest mountain outside Asia. So the common question is, which is the highest mountain outside Asia? Or one option may be Aconcagua, the other option may be Cotopaxi. Here there is a confusion. You remember, the highest mountain outside Asia is Aconcagua, but the highest volcanic mountain in the world is Mount Cotopaxi. So Mount Cotopaxi is the highest volcanic mountain in the world. Why highest volcanic mountain? As I told you, Himalayas do not have volcanoes. So these are the highest volcanic mountains. There are some of the animals which again have been asked as in the past year. Some of the interesting animals. Before these interesting animals, we will do some of the capital cities which are located in the Andes. The capital cities located in the Andes are capital cities located in the Andean mountain system are Bogota of Colombia. Remember, we have done Andes are the form of part of Venezuela, but the capital of Venezuela does not lie in the Andes. It is starts from Bogota of Colombia. Bogota of Colombia, Quito of Ecuador, Quito of Ecuador, Quito of Ecuador, La Paz, which we have already done as it lies on Lake Titicaca of Bolivia, and Lima, which is the capital of Peru. Capital of Peru. This lies in the Andes mountain. So these are the 4 important cities which are from north to south. They are Bogota, Quito, La Paz and Lima. Now this can be questioned like last year. They can ask you the questions if you are traveling from north to south or from south to north, what will be the order of cities. So from the north to south, you remember BQLL is the Bogota, Quito, La Paz and Lima. And rather than memorizing, just have a look at the atlas right now. See the location of Colombia, common to both Pacific and the Atlantic coastline. Now for that, either it has to be in the south or it has to be in the north. So it is in the north. So what is the capital of Colombia? It is the Bogota. After that comes Ecuador, Quito, Bolivia, La Paz in the middle, and Peru just down the south. That is the capital of Peru is Lima. So sorry, here this order should be this way. That is Lima and then La Paz. This is the correct order, that is from north to south. Have a look in the atlas and see how they are located. So we have Colombia, Ecuador, Peru and in the central that is Bolivia. These are from the north to south. Now there are some of the interesting animals which are found in the Andes. Some of the interesting animals which are found only in South America. You must have seen the movie or heard about the movie Anaconda. Anaconda is a large python found in the South America but not in Andes. It is found in the jungles of Amazon. But some of the interesting animals found in the Andes are, some of the interesting birds and animals found in the Andes are condor. It is a bird of prey. That is one of the largest eagle type bird of prey found in fact the largest bird of prey in Western Hemisphere. In the Western Hemisphere. Jaguar and puma. These are the cat family, jaguar and puma. Found in the South America. If the question comes, are they native of India? Just like once upon a time, some couple of years back, one of the question was leopard found in India? So similarly, question can come. And puma and jaguar are native of which continent? So you remember jaguar and puma are of South America. Third is llama. Third is llama. And alpaca. Llama and alpaca, type of camels which are found in the South America. These are the cousins of camels found in the South America. I have given you the attachments of this some of the interesting facts of South America other than what I will teach you here, some of the interesting facts. So you can just have the look at the picture and you will remember, because question has been there in the past that llama is found in which part. One of that was Tibet was the answer, or well, one of the option was South America also. So these are the important animals which are found in the Andes mountain system. Now coming to the other type of highlands. The other kind is the plateaus of South America. The plateaus of South America, as we have done, they are found in which part? They are found in the eastern part. We have done the Andes already. The plateaus of South America. The plateaus of the South America. So the important plateaus, or they are known as the Eastern Highlands. These are Guiana Highlands. These are Guiana Highlands. Of South America. Plateau of Borborema. Plateau of Borborema. Plateau of Borborema. Mato Grosso Plateau. Mato Grosso Plateau. And lastly, the Brazilian Plateau. Lastly, the Brazilian Plateau. So these are the plateaus of South America, that is Guiana Highlands, Plateau of Borborema, Mato Grosso Plateau, and the Brazilian Plateau. Now this has been a past year question, that is the Guiana Highlands in recent past, while this also has been one of the past year question. And the questions are very simple, that is either they will ask you which of the they will give you name of a plateau and the continent. For example, they can give you Guiana Plateau, and they will ask you Africa, and they will ask whether this is correctly matched or not. Now Guiana Plateau lies in the South America. So obviously the answer here is wrong. It is not correctly matched. How to remember? Now you remember that the French Guiana, the India's rocket launching center before that is still today, the rocket launching center of France is located in the South America in the territory of French Guiana. You can see in the atlas, in the political map, you will see that there is a country which is known as, here just near the Brazil, there is a territory known as French Guiana, which is a territory of France, and that is why in the last lecture we did that the France has so many time zones also. That is the country having the largest time zone is the France, 12 time zones. Now the French Guiana, see the location where it is, where the France is, and see the location of this. Now the French Guiana is the rocket launching center of France, and in fact even India uses this for which kind of satellites, GSLV or PSLV? Find out. Which satellite? GSLV satellites. So India uses this. In fact, the French Guiana is the rocket launching, a territory of France. It is the rocket launching center of France. Located in the north, so Guiana Highlands are located in the north. Brazilian Highlands are located in the south. And remember that the river Amazon divides this highland into Brazilian Highlands and the Guiana Highlands, and two small highlands in between. At the tip, it is the Borborema Plateau, a small plateau, not that important, and in between that there is an Mato Grosso Plateau, or the plateau of an Mato Grosso. There is a plateau of Mato Grosso. In fact, the river Amazon divides these plateaus into two parts, divides these highlands, separates them into river Amazon separates Guiana Highlands from Brazilian Plateau. Guiana Highlands from the Brazilian Plateau. In fact, the Guiana Highlands are famous for Angel Falls, which are the highest waterfalls in the world. Guiana Highlands are famous for Angel Falls, which are the highest waterfalls in the world on the river Orinoco river system, made by one of the tributary of river Orinoco. Angel Falls, the highest waterfalls on the world, are located in the Guiana Highlands. So remember, Guiana Highlands is in South America. On the river Angel Falls are on river Orinoco. Orinoco is the northernmost river. So Guiana Highland is in north, Brazilian Highland is in the south, and in between there is a plateau of Mato Grosso or Mato Grosso Plateau. And what are these Brazilian highlands? The Brazilian highlands are famous for grasslands known as campos. These are the tropical grasslands of Brazilian highlands. These are the tropical grasslands of the Brazilian highlands. Remember, Brazilian highland is also famous for coffee plantations. Brazilian highlands are also famous for the coffee plantations. Now, from the exam point of view, what you have to remember is the north to south or south to north order of these highlands. Okay. Now, coming to the later part, that is the drainage system of South America. The drainage system of the South America.